Okay, so this video today is basically about why I advocate for breastfeeding, why I go so hard, why I do a lot of activism around breastfeeding, and basically I wanted to share this because I know a lot of people may be a little bit confused as to why I would dedicate so much of my time, energy, and thoughts towards it. And of course I'm breastfeeding right now because life. So I started in 2014. I was pregnant with my second child, and basically I wanted to become more knowledgeable. I started taking a childbirthing course, and that led me to know what a doula was. And then once I decided I wanted a doula, I wanted to become more familiar with breastfeeding. And so that's when I got trained as a lactation counselor. But one of the things that I found out that deeply bothered me was the infant mortality rate. And for Black women, the infant mortality rate is twice that of white women. So basically, the infant mortality rate is the amount of babies that are dying. Now, what does this have to do with breastfeeding? Well, breastfeeding significantly reduces the infant mortality rate in all communities. So these are statistics that you can look up for yourself. They're presented by the CDC, which is the Center of Disease Control. To show some of the research that I've done. Then it's also the Population Reference Bureau has produced research on this. And then breastfeeding is promoted by all major government institutions. It's promoted by the CDC, and one of the reasons that it's promoted is as a means to reduce the infant mortality rate, reduce the likelihood of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. And infant mortality refers to the death of a live child under the age of 1 year old. Okay, so the next thing I learned was, okay, yes, you want to keep your baby alive, but what about the benefits to mom? So, the Lancet did a research study, and this basically was an analysis of 47 studies that took place in 30 countries, and basically they linked breast cancer to the lack of breastfeeding. So breastfeeding actually reduces your chances of developing breast cancer. So that was another thing that I found out, and that was published by the Lancet. I'm leaving the link for everything so that you can do the research yourself. The other thing another publication is by PubMed, which is the National Library of Medicine, and they also linked breastfeeding to a reduction in the chances of breast cancer. So those are the two main benefits that I saw for baby and for mom. And then basically, once I started working with breastfeeding women, which I did for about 1.5 years in Brooklyn, this was my hands-on research. And one of the things that I found was that the reason that moms aren't doing it, one, is because they don't see it, which is why I knew that I needed to do this as a form of activism where moms can actually see. So I basically said, look, if y'all need to see it, I'm going to make sure y'all see it. It's not popularized in the media. You don't see women breastfeeding. When you do see women breastfeeding, a lot of the time you see them with covers, which is really, in my opinion, it's not practical at all to cover while breastfeeding, because the thing is, babies breastfeed all the time. So, and not only that, but they want to see the world. Babies are curious about the world. So even the times, when I first began breastfeeding, when I would try to cover, it was always like a song and dance with the baby. Like the baby's like trying to like take the cover off. I mean, let's be honest, right? Titties are everywhere. Like, let's keep it real, right? Breasts are everywhere all the time, and they're always being shown in advertising, etc. So, if I'm feeding my child, one, I would hope that any normal person would look away or make eye contact. You wouldn't normally look at my breasts, so why look at them while I'm feeding my child, number one. And number two, you wouldn't eat in the dark. So why would you want your newborn to eat in the dark? You know what I mean? You wouldn't eat with a blanket over your head. So why would you want your newborn to eat with a blanket over your head, over their head? You know what I mean? And I just think that, you know, it's just a no-brainer. So, and also by covering, you're kind of making it seem like it's something that's unnatural to do, when in fact it's literally what we are supposed to do. It's how babies are supposed to be nourished, right? So because I know that there's a link in people's, we do what we see. That's basically the, you know, the answer to everything. So if moms need to see it, I'm unabashful about it. I you know, I promote it actually. So that's a little bit about why I started doing that. And the other thing is, like, you know, sometimes moms want to breastfeed, but they don't have the support, which is why I knew that I needed to be a support person for a lot of people. And not only did I do it on a professional level, but a lot of the times I have family members or family members of friends who need support. And the fact of the matter is, you know, we talk all of these things, but women, I find that a lot of pregnant women don't have the support that they need, or nobody is talking openly about the things that happen during childbirth, during breastfeeding, etc. So I thought I could be that person. This is why I got into activism around breastfeeding. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you have, you know, a question or a comment, or you have something to say about what I said, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And yeah.